Hello there, and welcome to the first in two videos that I'm planning on doing, where I'll be talking about the terrain editing features in Cities Skylines. So, if you're not familiar, this is a game where you get to build cities, but it also has a pretty cool map editing feature in the tools option of the main menu. Now, I'm assuming that you're relatively familiar with Cities Skylines, so if you're not, there's plenty of other tutorials out there for you to look up. The point of these two videos is, well, this one specifically is I'm going to be going over a couple of tips and tricks on how to make your own maps in Cities Skylines. Because I've seen a lot of things on the workshop where a lot of people make very flat-looking maps, and generally that isn't a thing. Well, I mean, it is a thing, but not all maps have to be flat. And I've sort of come to the conclusion that it's because people don't know how to make mountains in this tool. So that's what the second video is going to be about. I'm going to be showing you how to make mountain sides, a little bit like... my frame rate is not terrific, but yeah, mountain sides a little bit like this, which I think look a little bit more realistic than what I see a lot of other people do, which is where they'll just go into the tools and let's see, go into the tools and they'll just raise up an area like this, and then they'll maybe just smooth it out or something, you know, and they'll say, oh yeah, that's a mountain, but very few mountains actually look like that. So that's what I'll be going over in the second video, but in this one I'm just going to go over the basics a little bit. So first of all, the brushes. As you can see here, I have more brushes than the default amount of brushes that you get. And also, I have a mod installed which allows me to press Control Q and Control E to rotate the brush, which is very, 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 very handy. So I will put a link in the description to this video to the forum where I got these brushes from, and the Steam mod page where you can get the rotation brush mod as well. There are also a couple of other handy mods, such as the viewable resources or persistent resources tab, I think it's called, mod. I don't have that currently installed because it seemed to cause some crashes whilst I was recording, but anyway, that's also a pretty handy one. Yeah, so the brushes are really, really handy. If you open the brushes tab and select this icon here, it'll take you, or it'll tab you out of the game and open up the brushes folder on your desktop. And hopefully it'll actually do that for me now that I've pressed it, or it might crash. Let's find out. Seemed like it didn't do it, but it should ordinarily open up the correct file path for you, and then you just drop the brush images in there. A little bit of a note on that: I had a lot of trouble installing the brushes because they were like the wrong format. I was trying to make my own, and I was just doing them based off ordinary height maps, and it didn't seem to like that for some reason, which is confusing because you can import height maps directly. You'd think it would work the same for brushes, but anyway. So brushes are very, very, very handy, and you'll see why in the next video, but I would recommend that if you're going to get seriously into terraforming your own maps, then you should take a look at finding some of your own brushes to be using. So yeah, I'm assuming that you're mostly familiar with this tool, so I'm not going to go over, you know, all the requirements that you need to have and how to switch between tabs and all that stuff. You've got your shift tool, which moves things up and down. You left click to move ground upwards, and you right click to move it downwards. And you can press Ctrl Z to undo, like most other editing tools. There's also a soften tool, which if I did that again and then softened it, then it would like smooth the whole thing out, and then you'd go from having a rather jagged looking crag to a more smooth hillside. Then there's the level tool, which there we go. The level tool. Now the level tool, you can basically, it sets a height. So if I wanted to have all of my land in this area have a certain height, then I set the height. But another interesting feature with both this and the slope tool is that you can right click and it will set the height for you. Like, it'll set the target height, as it were. And then the slope tool is similar, except you sort of use it between 2 points. So you right click one area like this, and then you say, I want to draw a slope between these 2 points. So you start over here and move it to the location where you right clicked. If you right click lower and go from a higher position, then similarly it will slope down. But if you are already at the same height that you right clicked and then drag it around, then it will work basically the same as the level tool. So this, basically the slope tool is the most powerful tool in this editor, because even though you can import and export height maps from this program, editing height maps in any program is really, really hard, whereas this is a lot more visual, I find. There is a program called World Painter, which is kind of useful, but I prefer this layout. But if you know how to edit height maps in something like Photoshop, then you might as well be doing that rather than doing it in here. The only advantage that doing it in here has is that you get instant feedback on what your thing looks like. So I think the slope tool is a really, really awesome tool in this. Then there's water. Water is very, very strange in this game, and I think it's because of the way that it's simulated. Effectively, you say, oh yeah, I want the water to be here, and then it starts filling it up to that point where you said. So you can change the sea level with this bar, or you can just hold over an area of water that already exists and left click and drag up and down, and that can change the sea level. And then once you've set a new sea level, you see there's this white bar which just surrounds everything that the sea level touches. So it's a really good visual indicator of where your new sea level is going to wind up. And then if you unpause the game, then the new sea begins to roll in from the corners. Oh, wait, no. Or does it? Let me see. Oh no, okay, so it actually did that. Sometimes it seems to come in from the edges of the map and just be really, really slow, like it simulates the whole thing. But if it is doing something weird, like this looks kind of funky, yeah, then the easiest way to like really quickly fix that is to just click this reset water level. You might have to click it a few times, and yeah, there you go. It sorts itself out when you click that. Now, rivers are slightly different, and again, very strange. And I think I might have actually ruined my example by by doing the thing that I just did. Yeah, I have. So let me reload the map, because rivers are very strange. I set up this example river here, and it didn't really behave the way that I wanted it to. You can see in this picture here what I'm about to be talking about. Basically, as far as I can tell, rivers, again, they simulate water flow, but hang on, let me pause this because otherwise it's going to lag. But yeah, so I have two rivers set up here, and the way that you set a river is it's similar to the to setting the sea level, except you set it in a local area. So like this is a lake, say, and I want the lake's water level to be here, so that's where I set it to. Now, it kind of behaves in a similar way to setting the sea level, in that you can see how it shows the white bar on the outside of the surface that it's contained by as well, which again is a little bit weird and was initially very worrying for me, because I thought that that it was just gonna, yeah, you can see it all the way over there as well. I thought that if you placed a river or a water source, then it would just fill the whole map with water. Luckily, it doesn't do that. When it does eventually collide with the ocean, it gets sucked away, so to speak. Basically, the ocean level remains constant. So as long as your river finds its way to the ocean, then it'll be okay. But a weird thing that happens, as you can see, is so I started off this river and it was just going straight, and it works. Rivers work perfectly normally, or as you would expect them to if they go perfectly straight like this. However, as far as I can tell, as soon as you start adding bends, the river starts oscillating. And that's not particularly desired, to say the least. Especially since rivers tend to bend quite a lot. So I would suggest using caution when you make rivers. Try and make them as small and as short as possible. That would be my advice. So then, yeah, last few things. There's resources, which you know, you need them to build your city. There's trees, and again, I would advise installing some mods to get some extra trees, because trees are fun. Trees make your map look good. Yeah, so I've got like this, these flowers and stuff, which are a thing. Sorry, lost my train of thought there. I was looking at the flowers. So yeah, then there's roads. We all know about roads, hopefully. And sand and animals and other random stuff. So sand is interesting as well because it doesn't like automatically fill in the places near the ocean. You have to manually place sand, which means that you can make like deserts, which is pretty cool. And to get rid of sand, you have to right-click. So it's pretty simple to do. The one thing that I find slightly strange, though, is that it's in the same tab as things like animals, which you don't right-click to delete. You have to demolish animals, which is like, why is the sand in this tab with things that you can demolish? But anyway, it is what it is. And then finally there's the map settings and taking a picture. Now this sort of leads me into one of my final points, which is about the sense of scale that you want your map to have. Now each of these tiles, according to the official wiki, is 2 kilometers squared, which means that the entire grid here is 18 kilometers squared. Now in the default version of the game you can only use 9 tiles for building on, but you can unlock all up to 25 using mods, as most people know at this point. But that's a lot of area to be building in, and I think it's important to put some of that in scale. So this mountain that I'm working on here, which like I said I'll be coming back to in the second episode of this, I'm trying to make it as realistic as possible. And it's quite easy to want to say that you want a really tall mountain. But if we look at the max height that you can, not that one, terrain height. The max terrain height that you can go to is 1024. Now we kind of just have to assume that this is in meters. And this is really, really tall. And completely unreasonable to have people driving up. So let's look at this closer. You can see I've got these triangles here. Now if we look at this one here, this is a 2 kilometer by 1 kilometer mountain triangle shape, whatever. So the slope here is at a 30-degree angle. Now, as far as I'm aware, 30 degrees is the like maximum angle that a car should be able to drive up. Like, as part of the testing of most cars, they'll see if it can brake on a 30-degree angle, and if it can't, then if it starts sliding down, then they need to fix the brakes and stuff. So driving up 30 degrees is pretty tough, and equally walking up a 30-degree angle is pretty tough. So you really want to be avoiding these really steep mountainsides unless you want to be building cliffs. So then, you know, our next example here is this 1 by 1 triangle, which has a 45-degree angle, which, I don't know if you've ever gone mountain climbing, going up even just walking up a 45-degree angle is really quite hard. And then this is the 60-degree angle, the half a kilometer by 1 kilometer mountainside. And this is a 60-degree angle. This is practically impossible to walk up, let alone drive up. So a much more reasonable amount is this 1 kilometer by 4 kilometer slope, and this is approximately 15 degrees. And the in-game engine seems to deem this worthy of having grass on it. So you see this, because the slope isn't so steep, there's, let me get rid of this brush. So because the slope isn't as steep as the other ones, there's this surface of grass going up all the way up this mountainside. Whereas over here it's just jagged rock. So that's something to consider when you want to have a mountainside that you can drive up or walk up, or have your Sims drive or walk up, rather. And then another thing is just to like have a sense of scale. Like I said, these are 2 kilometers by 2 kilometers, which is a pretty big area. I mean, if we take the animals, you know, just put down some animals, and take a look at them. If they'll spawn. Nope, apparently all of the animals have just disappeared. Okay. Thanks, animals, you ruined my example. Alright, if we go into the first person mode, this is another mod that I have installed. So first person mode, you know, if we assume that these tufts of grass are like knee height, then... Oh jeez, there we go. Like, that mountain over there is... Oh jeez, no clip. That mountain over there is A, pretty far away, and B, pretty high up. I believe that the peak of that hillside is 500, so exactly half. And already that looks to be a pretty big mountainside, pretty steep. So when you're building your maps, just be aware of how big these maps actually are, and how far your render distance is, because it's so easy to be zoomed out and just completely lose your sense of scale. And so the last thing I want to look at is like I said, the highest limit, or the highest mountain that you can build in this game. This is without the aid of mods. I don't know if somebody's actually made a mod that increases the max height. So the max height in default is just over 1,000 kilometers. And if we open up Google and look at mountains in the UK, for example, most of the mountains, with the exception of Ben Nevis, which is 300 meters higher, most of the tallest mountains in Britain are just around that 1,000 meter mark. And so let's take Snowdon, for example, because I used to live near Snowdon. This is terrain.party. This will export height maps for you. So this is Snowdon right here. And we can also look at this in Google Maps. Snowdon is a pretty big mountain, but it's also surrounded by other mountains, which can like give the illusion that it's not as tall as it actually is. So what I was going to do here is export this in real time and just show you A, how terrain.party works, but B, what real mountains look like when they're generated in this engine. So that's going to take a second to generate, and then it's going to have to download. But then we can go into the... Oh, it did open. There we go. Yeah, so this is the brushes folder. If we double click this, then we can come up to the map editor. So yeah, you see it's in users, your username, app data, local, colossal order, Cities Skylines, add-ons, map editor. And then that brings us to... What? Okay. Weird. So that brings us to brushes and height maps. If we go into height maps, then we can open the terrain.party export, which is a RAR file. You'll need WinRAR to open that. Oh no, it's a zip file, so you'll need something that can open zips. And let me just close this tab. And it disappeared, didn't it? Good. Everything's going well. Downloads. Let's see. Snowdon terrain. Come on, you can do it. I believe in you. I know I shouldn't have tried to do this in real time. Come on. Ah, jeez. It's gonna open like 10 now, isn't it? Oh, God. Alright, there we go. Yep, it opened 3. Okay, so the one that you want, it's gonna have a few available. Now you can put all of these in and then compare. The one that I like though is the merged one. It seems to give the nicest looking style. So this is a height map. This is what they look like, and it's basically just a black and white image of the terrain that you just exported, and yeah, so this is the height map of what we're looking at here somewhere. Wait, Llanberis is there, so Snowdon Peak is there. Yeah, so this is a height map of that. And we can open it up in game by clicking this button here and importing the Snowdon height map. And it's going to look like this. There we go. So it looks a little bit weird because I have that river there still, and the sand from earlier. Yeah, ordinarily when you import something, you should make a new file for it. But so this is what Snowdon looks like in the in-game engine, and it's a little bit weird, isn't it? You know, it's got this kind of mottled look to it. It's got this stripiness. It's a little bit odd, and I think that's partly the resolution that it was exported at, which is partly terrain.party's sources problem, I guess. But I think it's partly the engine as well, like the way that that Cities Skylines opens the what's it called? The way that Cities Skylines opens height maps and reads them is just a little bit odd. So this kind of looks crap, doesn't it? So terrain.party can go to like higher resolutions. So, for example, this is currently at 18 by 18 kilometers, which is, like I said, the default amount that you get in Cities Skylines. But yeah, so it can go to a higher value, and you can export something that's much higher quality. Like I think I have one already somewhere. Yeah, okay. This one. This is a piece of Madagascar, which has these amazing looking crags and ravines and mountains and stuff. But this is almost too detailed now, in that if you were to try and put a river in here, then it would just be too big. Like the water source block or cylinder or whatever you want to call it is it's huge. Look at it, and it'll just like fill the way more than what you wanted with water. And similarly, these mountainsides are too steep and too frequent to be able to build anything on. Like if I wanted to build a road through here, then you know it's gonna say slope is too steep continuously, or it's gonna just try and build bridges, or it's gonna like, let's see if we can. Yeah, no, it's just gonna have loads of trouble building any kind of roads unless you do it in one of the more flat areas like that. So yeah, scale is. Oh man, this game's lagging a little bit because that water's still there. But ooh, yeah, look at that. That's really dumb. Yeah, so scale is really, really important, and it's so easy to overlook it. But if your map has a weird scale, then your whole city's going to look kind of strange, and it's going to be really hard to build. So yeah, the last thing that I'm going to say is save frequently. So I've just completely ruined this map for the sake of example, but I can very easily go back to a previous save before I did any of this testing stuff. And here we are, back at the start. So yeah, save frequently and make multiple saves, because sometimes you'll do something that you don't like and then you'll want to go back to a previous version of what you were working on. Alright, so thanks for watching. Hopefully I'll get the next video up soon. And that one will be detailing, like I said, how to make a proper mountainside in-game that doesn't look terrible like most imported height maps do. So yeah, thanks for watching. My name is Sir Aaron, or William, and I'll see you later.